All right, we're back with another Bachi Chronicle. Because lots of people didn't like my background, I changed it up a little bit for you. Now you have autographed spikes and shoes and drones and everything else. All right, so I'm working with the teams. I'm working with the players more. I'm more involved in the athlete side of stuff and the players. I'm still helping out with the clubs, but I want to get out of it. It's not worth it. I mean, you guys should heard some of the stories, and there's no reason to keep on that path right now for me at that time in my mind. So I want to get out of it, but one of the owners of the club, the people who were financing it, their friend wanted to do an event, a big reggae event, and they asked me to bring over Kevin Lyttle. They asked me if I could get a hold of Kevin Lyttle. So I made some phone calls and stuff, and I got a hold of some people that knew him. Actually, one of my friends had brought him before, so it wasn't too difficult. Reached out, set up the the deal, asked for his price. And so when I'm talking to the guy who wanted to do this big event, this big party, you know, he's kind of a business guy, but to me he's a little shady. Like he's more towards the mafia side of business. So, but the owners asked me to help him out, so I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm talking to him, and I'm like, okay, this is the cost, this is what his fees are going to be. And they were like, yeah, no problem, wire him the money when he gets here, or give him the money when he gets here and buy his plane ticket. And then I said, securities, dancer, uh, hotel, all that other stuff. And he was like, well, can you just cover that and I'll reimburse you after everything's over. So, I mean, during the season, like I try to save up as much money as I can to make it through the off season because the players aren't here. I'm not making any money off the players. So I have to do any kind of events, and that's the reason why I was going to do this Kevin Lyttle thing, because I needed to make whatever extra money I could to, make ends meet. So I was like, all right, because the money I had, saved up for the off season, because that's like 3 months of, just hustling. And rent, I mean, in Japan can be pretty expensive depending where you live. I think my rent at the time was, I don't know, not cheap. So uh, I'm like, all right, well, I'll cover everything, keep the receipts. So we bring Kevin Lyttle over. They wanted, I think, 300 to 400 people, 300 to 500 people, but I think we had around 800 people. So it was actually better than what the target was. We bring him over. He's a great guy. We had a good time. I mean, he's totally down to earth. No issues whatsoever. We do the show, but during the show, because the way the club was set up, we have the club, a normal club was here, and then we have like the hall for the concert, and then above those two, the club's VIP, and then the hall for the concerts, like lounge area where you can look over it and see the stage. So in this area, the guy who produced one of the event done, he told me that was his personal space for his friends and VIP, which I didn't care. I mean, it only fits about 30, 40 people. So I was like, okay, so everything else was for me and for the event. But then I had to go through there because there was somebody at the entrance was, wanting to get in, or there's, somebody was asking for me. So I cut through there. They have like poker table set up or something. And it was like they were in there, I guess, playing poker or roulette or something. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, this is definitely shady. They're probably trying to make some extra money on the side. So the event goes good. After the event, Kevin Lyttle goes home. And I go to meet with the guy to go over everything. And I give him all the receipts. And it's probably about hotel, food, security, dancers, other little costs. I mean, I'm saying about $4,000, maybe probably around $4,000. I actually think the air fee was in there too, so probably $6,000, somewhere around there. I mean, it was about five. I'll say five. So I give him the receipts, and he's like, "What's this?" So it's the receipts. It's the airplane ticket, the hotel, the security, the dancers, everything else. He's like, "I've already paid this." And paid it to who? He was like, "I gave the club the money for the venue." I was like, "That's for the venue. You told me that to pay the things and you'll reimburse me with the receipts." He's like, "I don't remember saying that." And I had the emails. So I showed him. I was like, he's like, "Don't try to take advantage of me." And he starts yelling at me. He pulls that whole mafia side of things. Like, I'm the boss, so you can't make me pay you kind of thing. So I call the owners of the club and I tell them, hey, you asked me to do this for your friend. I did it for him. Now he doesn't want to pay me. And he owes me about $5,000-$6,000. That's my money for the off season. That's what I survive on. That's how I pay rent and get around. And the owners of the club was like, oh, actually, he's not even paying us for the venue total price. He said he didn't make enough money. But I said, that doesn't make sense because we needed was 200 to 300 people, and then we had about 800. So we did double what the target was. So he has the money. The cost, we had calculated all the costs. They're like, yeah, he said he didn't make enough. I said, well, it was probably because he had playing poker and lost or something. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, he had a whole poker, like, roulette thing going on in the room. And they're like, well, we didn't know anything about that. I was like, look, you asked me to do this for him. I did it. I haven't been paid. Plus, you haven't paid me for my time as well. Plus the money I spent already that wasn't even, your money. And they were like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. If he doesn't pay us, he doesn't pay us. So, it's just one of those things. I said, no, it's not one of those things. You guys have your jobs and stuff like that. This money is my money that I need. And they were like, well, what do you want us to do? I said, get me the money. They're like, well, we'll call you back. So I waited, a couple hours. They called me. They're like, yeah, he just doesn't have it. So just going to have to scratch this one off as a loss. I was like, no, we don't scratch $5,000 off as a loss. So I said, this is the deal. You pay me my money or I'm completely done with the club. I'm not helping, supporting. I'm not getting staff, And they were like, well, that's kind of a unprofessional thing to do to put us in that position. Like, you asked me to do this. So it turned into a little bit of an argument. I said, I'm not, because I wanted out of the club anyway. I mean, I didn't need it. Why am I still there? I was doing it as a favor. But if they're going to not pay me my salary and not pay me the money I spent for them, why would I be there? So they tried to pull the whole like mafia type of, you have to do this and you don't have a choice. And I just said, fine. And I called up all my staff, my managers and stuff. I said, look, I'm done. I'm not doing it. You guys can stay if you want. You can go if you want. I don't care. I have to focus on the baseball side of things anyway. That's more of, it's more of a guaranteed paycheck. It's less problems. Then I quit. I told them enough. I think like 70% of the staff walked out as soon as I left, and it put them in an awkward position. A lot of issues after that, and the club shut down. I mean, what can you do? So that's my getting out of the club business, and as well as taking care of Kevin Lyttle. But overall, Kevin Lyttle was a great guy. I mean, he was totally funny. We had a great time. His show went well. Everybody enjoyed it. Japanese love reggae, so it was a good night. And I'm kind of grateful that he got me out of the club business. I made me $5-6 in the hole, plus everything else. Wasn't a good situation, but I made it through like I always do. All right, thanks for watching. Catch you again.